lightning and, of course, some heavy rain. Temperature-wise, another hot day. We got to 94 yesterday. Today, about 92.
Your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist Peyton Malone. Crews closed the I-10 overnight from Metairie into New Orleans, from Causeway Boulevard to I-610. DOTD says repair work is scheduled to wrap up at 10 a.m. Veterans or airline are your best alternate routes. A state trooper shot at a suspect on Chef Highway at Downman Road Saturday night.
At about 9:30, troopers responded to a complaint of reckless driving. Well, troopers tried to make a traffic stop, but as they were walking up to the car, the driver attempted to drive away in the direction of the troopers. That led to one trooper shooting at the driver. After leaving the scene, the car was eventually stopped and the driver was arrested.
WWL TV's Mike McDaniel. The city recently passed tougher laws against reckless driving and performing vehicle stunts like donuts and burnouts. Out of control violent crime, including New Orleans leading the nation in per capita murders, is having a ripple effect across the city, including in the French Quarter, as WWL TV's Eleanor Tabone reports.
Lucy Burnett has lived in the French Quarter most of her life, saying for the first time she's concerned for her safety.
I don't go out much at night, and I certainly don't go out much. I'm trying to wear that in the daytime.
I think there's a lot of people that have worked in the French Quarter and love to work in the French Quarter just don't feel safe coming down here anymore.
Christian Pendleton from Redding's Restaurant and representing the Louisiana Restaurant Association says the record high crime rates is making it difficult to find staff. The restaurant short more than 100 employees.
They don't feel safe leaving work at night and having to walk to their cars wherever they park because of lack of police presence in the quarter and knowing that really nothing is happening to criminals when they are found. They're getting the proverbial detention slip.
Two big cases in Louisiana courtrooms are set for tomorrow. A Baton Rouge judge hears the challenge to the state abortion ban that took effect after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned the Roe v. Wade decision. And a federal judge in New Orleans is set tomorrow to start the tax fraud trial of New Orleans District Attorney Jason Williams and his business partner. Williams faces nearly a dozen counts of tax-related charges. He and co-defendant Nicaud maintain their innocence. Here's Sean Ross with WWL Sports.
LSU's Jacob Berry and Cade Doty expect their names to be called when the MLB draft gets underway later tonight. It's also likely some of Jay Johnson's newest recruits could head to the show before ever heading to Baton Rouge. Kiko Riley, who covers the Tigers for USA Today, says 4 or 5 could easily go to the majors in the first round.
I'd say Justin Crawford and Robbie Snelling are almost certainly going in the first round, and two guys that I would be really surprised show up at LSU this upcoming season. Everybody else, you kind of just have to read the tea leaves.
The MLB draft gets underway later tonight and goes on through Tuesday. LSU will take to the podium on Monday to kick off SEC Media Days. Head coach Brian Kelly will address the media on the Tigers' preparation and outlook for the upcoming season. Receiver Jack Besh, linebacker Mike Jones, and defensive end B.J. Ojulari will also address the media. No word, though, if Coach Kelly's Southern accent will show up. Sean Ross, WWL Sports.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast.
We don't have anything really out of the norm in the 7-day forecast here. And what that means is it's going to be hot, it's going to be humid, and we're going to have some pop-up storms. Now, where those storms pop up each day is anyone's guess. Just that time of year, we call them hit or miss. So have your rain gear nearby, and if you hear thunder or lightning and you're outside, go ahead, head indoors, and ride it out until the storms dissipate. For your Sunday, a more detailed look at your forecast, 92 with a 30% chance of a few storms today. And then going into the upcoming work week, each day is about the same. Maybe just a little hotter each day. So the range of temperatures Monday through Friday will be 93 to 95 with about a 30 to 40% chance of some afternoon storms each day. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Peyton Malone.
I'm Dave Cohen, WWL First News.
From WWL, the news talk sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Oakland Heart Jewelers talk and text line, 504-260-1870, or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, good morning. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Just call 260-1870 or text us on the Open Heart Talk and Text line. Good morning, Albert.
Hey, Doug, what's up?
The dog days of summer.
Pretty
We're in the
hot.
middle of it. Hot. So far, it's been a quiet summer in the tropics. I don't think there's been a rainstorm off the African coast that could threaten us. So it's been fairly quiet compared to last year. It seemed like.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like
Don't put the gree on us.
Gregory, huh? It's like telling an announcer doing a football game. He says this field goal kicker has made 24 out of the last 24 field goals. He was at the 23-yard line, or foul shot. So been good so far. But it's sort of this is sort of the quiet portion of the local sports scene. But it's very interesting again. A lot of talk about this time of year about the Pelicans, which you don't normally have. Which is going to be sort of interesting because once we get into football, the Pelicans will actually be on the front burner to a certain extent, maybe in November, December, when normally this time of that time of year, it's sort of in the background, and I guess the city really doesn't pay full attention to them until late January when the Saints are out of the playoffs. But sort of interesting that the Pelicans are being mentioned in sort of the same breath as the New Orleans Saints this time of year, which is good. So,
there's a lot of excitement and anticipation. These young guys are playing well in the summer league, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And I've told you this many times. I'm one of the guys that really likes to watch preseason football. I like to see the new faces trying to make the team, leaving it all on the field, playing it at 1,000%. And that's to me is more real football than a lot of times the regular season. And it's the same thing with the summer league. These guys are trying to show off their capabilities in game time, performance with now all players at a different level. And it's just fun to watch. I've been trying to keep up with them as much as I can during the summer league and watch them play, and they do it well. It's a good group of guys, and again, it's Willie Green's locker room, and I think he's looking for character guys. He's looking for guys that want to build each other up. He's not looking for dominant. He's looking for people that want to share the ball and boost the other players when they were in the game. So hopefully that continues.
Well, the first round pick and the second round pick, how Fade is done for the year.
Yeah.
Disappointing for him. I don't know that he was going to contribute, but he seemed like he was he was picked 41, and they were thinking he was rated as a first round pick, and they thought they had a pretty good deal. But and also the first round pick is out for the preseason, and they sort of a bit by the injury bug. Now, as far as we're about 2 weeks away from the Saints training camp, and I think it's just, everybody, like I think I always say, I think this year there's 29 teams that have the same level of optimism as the Saints. You got to scratch the Falcons, you got to scratch Carolina, and you got to scratch the Jets. But most other teams, it's sort of, they have that eternal optimism for the year, and the Saints are no different. I think it'd be interesting to see what's a little different about this team with Dennis Allen as far as style. Are they going to run more? Are they going to be more run and defense? More, a little more conservative, defensive oriented, or it'll just be interesting to see how, I guess, the style of play and also how the players react. Because every year, there's going to be adversity. There's going to be some injuries. There's going to be something that, a game where you lose that is, a tough way to lose. How are you going to respond to that? So it'll be interesting to see how the team reacts to Dennis Allen, because you just don't know. I mean, everybody is very hopeful, and there, certain aspects of it, the signs may indicate they would, but you just don't know until it happens, and I guess that's what sort of makes it sort of anticipatory and exciting at this time of year.
Right. Yeah, I guess my head's not there yet. I know they're going to start OTAs in a couple of weeks, and
they start training camp. Yeah.
Training camp. Yeah, that'll start pretty soon. I guess I'll turn that page when it comes to it. I don't know. I don't know how excited I am about the Saints. I know they've got a pretty good nucleus. And they're just a couple of players away. They finally have some, I think, stud wide receivers that they've been needing for a while. The Kamara thing is going to be an issue. We've got I don't know what they've done to really address the running back situation for the first 6 weeks. So we'll see. We'll see what they come up with. Hopefully, it doesn't mean that they're going to make Jameis Winston throw the ball more. And down and distance may determine that. But it'd be great if he had a solid run game and was not called upon, to throw the ball 40 times a game like Drew Brees might have done. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, I think probably the key to the Saints' success the last 5 years was the Jeff Ireland and the way they would find players. They'd find undrafted free agents. They'd find pickups. They'd find high-value draft choices. Or when I say high value, the amount of trade for them, but it turns out that they were very they had a skill set that they had a plan for, and they were able to plug and play them. So one of the things that the Saints probably have done, which is probably not talked about as much, is the fact they're able to fill out the rest of the roster with some good players that were available to other players, but they saw something in them where it would fit within their system, much like the old New England Patriots, started a plug and play philosophy. So that's been a big part of the Saints talk about being in contention every year, is just getting over the hump. So that's only a couple of weeks away. So it's going to be here before you know it. And we're also entering LSU fall camp, and we have no idea who the quarterback's going to be. Absolutely zero idea. And a lot of the consensus is Nussmeier is your long-term answer. Miles Brennan is your short-term answer. And the quarterback from Arizona State, Johnson, is your dual threat, who's probably a little more seasoned than Nussmeier, but provides a lot more mobility than Miles Brennan. So it's sort of interesting to have three quarterbacks you really don't know who's going to start entering into fall camp. There's just no specificity to it. So I think the first 3 or 4 weeks, or first 2 weeks of fall camp for LSU, which will be, I think, the second week of August, will be very interesting, because whoever they choose to be the quarterback, they're going to have to start getting ready about 2 weeks before they play Florida State on September 4th. So it's just sort of it's an anomaly to be going into the season and you don't know who the heck your quarterback's going to be. So
right. Yeah, you're literally a month away. A month, 6 weeks away, and I got to think Coach Kelly has a good idea, but is probably not going to announce it until closer to the start of the season, to really get the best out of these guys, really make them compete hard, and think that they're the guy. And so hopefully, that brings out some competition and makes them play their best. Not like they wouldn't anyway, but when you are the starter and you're going to fight for a job, or you don't know that you're the starter. When you're the starter, you feel a little differently. You feel a little more relaxed. But I don't know. It ought to be an interesting. He might be the kind of guy like Sean Payton was, right? With the players that he had, that I'm going to start a guy, even though I picked him in the 7th round, and I'm going to start him over a veteran. If you're playing better, you're going to play. And so maybe he wants them to know that this is what my strategy is going to be and what my philosophy is going to be. So it's going to make everybody come out and play hard. It'll be fun to watch. He's a great coach. I got to tell you, he's a better coach than the last two. So he's got that going for him if he can recruit. And the NIL thing, which I think we probably ought to talk a little bit about from a legal standpoint.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. We had a question last week. We didn't get to it. And
Exactly.
Maybe we'll do it on the other side. But yeah, I don't like speculating because speculating is just speculation. But my only observation of Coach Kelly at this point is he's very competent in the sense of how he conducts himself and has a plan. Everything's planned. He's just a competent person. And I that's my only observation so far.
You don't think you're going to see any pictures with his girlfriend in bed or anything like that, right?
Far from it.
Exactly.
Exactly. And the last two coaches had little off the field issues that you'd never see with Coach Kelly. But he seems to be very, very competent, very has a plan, more Nick Saban-esque. You wouldn't see Nick Saban's not. You don't have to worry about what Nick Saban did off the field.
Exactly.
I think Kelly's. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about
probably a little less of a player's coach. More of a coach that they can look up to and respect and not be,
not say do as I say, not as I do kind of coach.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to break. We'll talk a little bit NIL after the break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, you weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
WWL is the home of your New Orleans Saints. And like you, we're counting down to Saints training camp. A new era in black and gold football is about to launch.
I have one caller, Nick Crozier, and he's calling from Mobile. He's on the road, just calling to say hi.
Won't quit. Listen for Training Camp Countdown with Steve Geller every hour on the hour. Brought to you by TrainSouth.com. It's hard to stop a train. And Saints Radio, WWL.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
If you haven't switched to Medicare yet, two big reasons to at least consider it, and why it makes so much sense right now. Number one's inflation, which is just affecting everything. And it makes sense to say, okay, where can I actually save? Well, you could save a lot in one fell swoop if you switch to Medishare. The typical family saves $500 a month. Secondly, your conscience. Medishare members aren't forced to pay for things they don't support or believe in, and that's a big deal for a lot of people right now. They want their money to actually help people. And one more reason, you can trust Medishare. It's been the gold standard for healthcare sharing for more than 25 years. It works, and members love it too. It has double the customer satisfaction rating compared to health insurance. So now's a great time to consider making a switch, and they're very easy to talk to. Medishare has great customer service. You can even get a price within 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855.
The last spot is Upside, which of course is getting money back for you getting the expensive gas.
You do the runaround? Are you still dealing with multiple adjusters, unreturned phone calls, duplicate requests for information, chronic underpayment, even non-payment? Are you emotionally exhausted? We can help. Call me, Doug Sunseri, longtime WWL radio host and attorney at Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm in Metairie and Mandeville at 504-837-1304. After so many years of you paying insurance premium, we'll make sure your insurance company pays up. Come on down to the Silver Slipper.
Hi, this is John from the Silver Slipper Casino with a very special offer just for you this summer. Now, you play here at the Slipper any day in July, August, and September. You'll have a chance to win a 40-can soft-pack Arctic cooler at 7 p.m. every night. That's right, we're giving away this great soft-pack cooler every night for 3 months. So come on down to the Slipper any day this summer and get in on the fun. We're on the beach here in Hancock County. Silver Slipper Casino, we are proud to be your host on the coast.
Have a good time at the Silver Slipper.
I'm Listening reminds you that talk saves lives, and 988 makes it even easier to reach out and talk. 988 is just like 911 for emergency services. 988 connects you with trained counselors in over 200 crisis centers nationwide. Find out more at imlistening.org.
Brandon Holly here. Windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. ReliefWindows.com.
Where do you go when you want to sell a diamond?
CausewayCoinCo.com. Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside, what's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet.
Okay, here we go.
From Upside, with the price of gas today, it's big news and big money.
And we have Rick holding on the phone.
Rick,
Calling from Mobile.
is it Rick or Nick?
Upside users already earned
Is it Rick or Nick?
Now it's your turn.
Rick with an R.
Cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code HUGE for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill out. That's code gallon back in your first fill out.
All things legal on WWL. Consult with Nicaud and Sunseri now on the open text line 504-260-1870. And don't forget to rewind the Odyssey.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your money lawyers, all things legal. Let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Rick. He's on the road. Hey, Rick, what you got for us, brother?
Hey, Al, Doug, it's Rick Crozier. It's good to hear from you guys. I love watching your show. I noticed you didn't give me a Tulane update, my alma mater. Have y'all heard anything about the Green Wave this year?
Well, nothing specifically. The question is, was last year an anomaly, or is it, or just a bump in the road? Because there was a lot of optimism going into Tulane, and I know, and you played in the late '80s, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Now, I will tell you this: I always thought and think that Tulane has the potential to be like a Miami as far as this athletic program, specifically football. It's in a great city where you have first of all, when you get a scholarship at Tulane, that's like a $300,000 deal, right?
For sure.
And it's in a great metropolitan area. It's in a football crazy area. And what Coach Bowden came to Tulane, he told us, he said, if you give me who LSU doesn't want in the state, I'll make it a top 25 team. And I don't mean to be disrespectful. And he did. That's what he did.
He made it number 8 at one point.
Right.
Yeah.
They had a good team last year. They lost. They've been losing a lot of close games. I love their coach. I think the quarterback's tough as nails. He's coming back. The kid, I can't remember his name.
Michael Pratt.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a good season. But I really love y'all's show. Looking forward to hearing about the NIL because from a, as a walk-on, they don't pay you much. You barely got your food allowance. But after I got my scholarship, they give me $10 after the game. And that was, we go to AT2s and we'd live forever. But it's interesting to see what the NIL is going to happen and how they regulate it. But I'll kind of be quiet and listen to the show, but love watching y'all's show.
All right, Rick. Thanks so much. Have a good trip there.
You got it.
Well, yeah, Rick played at Tulane in the late 80s. And, I think what happened, just for NIL, if people understand what happened, was that there was initially, you could not use players could not use their image to profit while they're playing in college sports. And, I remember when we did some licensing deals with the Sugar Bowl and LSU, we used to have to be very careful when we do images for the game, when we do the tickets or whatever we would do as far as the promotional materials. We couldn't make it look like a player because we had to blur their features. And it was just not because they was afraid of the legal implications of that. And then you had a Villanova player named Ed O'Bannon, who's filed an antitrust class action suit against the NCAA, saying that it is a violation of antitrust and a lot of other violations to use a college player's image for commercial purposes and profit off of it. and not have that player at least agree to it or be compensated for it. And that was the little dam break. And then they had the recent Supreme Court case where they basically said the NCAA is a cartel, and I'm saying that figuratively, colloquial, by using all these images for for all these players making billions and billions of dollars, and the players not profiting. Now, one of the problems that the NCAA did was they had really onerous type rules, saying that would violate amateurism. For example, if you had a college student who was an engineering student who played intercollegiate athletics, and they needed a special computer for that particular engineering class, the NCAA would not allow the school to buy the computer for the student athlete for that particular class. And, they had a lot of idiotic rules. They had one rule that drove Coach Brown crazy when he had one of his players, Mark Alcorn, 40 years ago, who died of cancer. They could not use school money to send the kids to the funeral in St. Louis. So they had all these type of issues where the NCAA was overbearing, and they thought they could get away with it with a lot of monopolies, and they never tried to get out ahead of that particular issue. Instead, they started turning the screw, took the shot with the Supreme Court, and they got and it blew it all open. So that's sort of the background as far as name, image, and likeness.
Right.
And now I think
the problem, though, I think that again, we always talk about unintended consequences, but the unintended consequences about that ruling is that the door was open with no rules, restrictions, regulations. There's, in other words, it hasn't really been thought out as to what type of protocol we could set to where we can somewhat regulate how this works and what teams can do what to play within the league. And so,
it's the Wild West right now. Now, where the NCAA totally screwed up. Now, you understand most monopolies historically think they're untouchable throughout American history. In other words, you had the old robber barons, oil monopolies, all these monopolies thought they were untouchable and were very onerous and heavy-handed in their action. Now, when you had the Ed O'Bannon case, somebody at the NCAA says, the trajectory of this issue is not going in a good place. We need to get out ahead of this. And if they would have got out ahead of it, they probably could have had some type of, I guess, rules and regulations to sort of, I won't say control it, but make it a workable. But they didn't. They instead said, this is an anomaly. We're going to do, NCAA is going to do what they're going to do. We're going to continue to profit without any type of thought as far as revenue sharing. One of the things I thought you could do is have a trust for all the players and put all their NIL money in the trust. And after they finish their college career, they could get it subject to certain expenditures that come out the trust for their college type of expenditures. But they had a lot of ideas that they didn't do. And now that's why they are where they are. I put it squarely 100% on the NCAA's lack of foreseeability of where this issue was going, and it's acting like a cartel. And so,
I think, did they care? You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously, a lot of them were saddled with these rules. Everybody knew that, from Coach K down to Will Wade, everybody was, bending the rules and pushing this and pushing the line, and it was making for, college basketball and March Madness. It's a big money maker. So, they knew that they wanted these teams that were perennially in the lights, and so I'm wondering if they kind of turned a blind eye to a lot of it, and if it just really got out of hand, the hogs get slaughtered kind of concept where, okay, look, we got to come down on you. We've got to, we've got, because and maybe that's why they didn't, put any kind of rules, regulations on it or get ahead of it, like you said. Maybe they really didn't want to. I don't know.
I think the big criticism of the NCAA was the very selective enforcement of its rules. And, they were just I think it was just a total lack of foresight. Now, here's what may happen in the future: is that you may see the SEC, the Big Ten, and maybe about 50 or 60 schools break out of the NCAA, form their own entity, and then they will collectively bargain on behalf of all the players the rights under NIL. And I think that's where it may be going, because you're starting to see conference realignment. You've got Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC. You've got UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten. You're going to see some more movements. And I think you're going to probably have a super league of about 60 or 70 colleges in the next 2 years. And then I would guess that they may consider breaking off, forming, in essence, a quasi-professional league of colleges. And then they will collectively bargain with a union on behalf of the players. And at that point, you can collectively bargain issues that would normally be antitrust, such as putting regulations on the amount of NIL money that can be paid, how to structure NIL money. Because right now, what Miami and some other Texas A&M is doing is they are forming co-ops where they get these, all these businesses that donate to a co-op, and they're getting a pool of, $4 or $5 million, and they're guaranteeing that $4 or $5 million pool to go to NIL money for maybe 25 recruits. So they're already figured out how to exploit this. That's why, University of Miami is on the map right now. That's why Mario Cristobal went from Oregon to Miami. It's because he's got the Miami money for these co-ops. Jimbo Fisher now has the number one class at Texas A&M because he has the oil money at Texas A&M. But I think there's going to be some profound changes. And on the other side, talk a little bit about, before we go to, I guess, more local issues, is how do the coaches deal with this NIL as from a coaching standpoint? I mean, that's you change your philosophy. Let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your Weekend Lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
If you love the Newell Norman Show and want to hear more conservative views like yours, don't miss Red Meat Roundup, a brand new Odyssey podcast that drops every Friday.
Your phone lines are clear. We have no one on the phone.
Politics, crime, law and order, and more. Rounded up in an assortment of the tastiest bits of conservative talk. Red Meat Roundup. Check it out now at WWL.com or wherever you get your podcasts. WWL is proudly sponsored by Dudley DeBosier Injury Lawyers. Call 504-444-4444. Attorney spokesperson, Ted Dudley, New Orleans. Hi, folks. Joel Myers for my friends at the Phil Benson Automotive Family of Dealership. They're an important message for automotive service professionals, particularly body shop and service technicians. We want you to join our team. Our service business is better than ever, and we need additional body shop and service techs, no matter what your experience level may be. If you're looking for a great job with an outstanding compensation and benefits package, and enjoy working in a clean, safe, and comfortable environment, we're the place for you. We have immediate openings at Cadillac of New Orleans, Best Chevrolet, Mercedes-Benz of New Orleans on Veterans, and the new Mercedes-Benz Fan Center across from the Caesars Superdome. Improve your automotive career today. Apply online at jobs@mbofno.com. That's jobs@mbofno.com. The Gail Benson Automotive Family of Dealerships. A great place to buy a vehicle and a great place to work. Come join the team. Celebrating 100 years of broadcasting, WWL Radio has been here for you when it matters most. Here's another moment in history.
It was July of 1987.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's like the Woodstock of my generation.
Even paying scalpers fights. It was great.
The Live Aid concert in Philadelphia and London raised money for famine in Africa. Performances included Freddie Mercury reuniting with Queen, Elton John, Madonna, Santana, Run DMC, Sting, Bryan Adams, Beach Boys, Mick Jagger, David Bowie, U2, Tom Petty, The Who, and many, many more. Phil Collins performed at both venues, flying the Concorde across the pond.
This moment in history brought to you by Acme Oyster House and Community Coffee.
Fighting for mental health is like. Sometimes I might think to myself, today's gonna get better. I even just keep it to myself. It's not a dramatic moment, but daily minutes. All of life's hardships, we think we have to deal with on our own, but we don't. Take the High Five Challenge. 5 minutes of real talk every day. Join the conversation at CHNOLA.org/high-five. Let's fight for mental health. Children's Hospital, New Orleans.
Dell's Black Friday in July is here. Power productivity with a tech refresh. Now with up to 45% off top-rated laptops, the XPS, along with our special deals on business desktops with Intel Core processors. Get big savings on the latest servers, storage, monitors, and more with free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
As an educator, Mr. Nelson's teaching.
One more short one after this, and we go live.
Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world.
Mr. Nelson taught hope.
Everyone can rise above their circumstances if they are dedicated and passionate.
Giving our best efforts.
It's always impossible until it's done.
Mr. Nelson Mandela's teachings not only united a nation, they inspire us today. Inspiration. Pass it on. PassItOn.com.
Want the news without the noise? News Nation is news for all America, reporting all sides, no spin, and no agendas. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us to find News Nation on your television provider.
All things legal on WWL, AMFM.com, and the Odyssey app. Connect with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyer with all things legal. We'll just finish up our little NIL talk. But basically, one observation for NIL, how it could help the state of Louisiana, as some of the smaller schools, is for the second tier players who aren't Leonard Fournette, sought out by all the, national recruits, is Louisiana has more athletic talent per capita, especially in football, probably than anywhere in the nation. And one of the reasons Nick Saban came to LSU was he understood that, because when he was in the NFL with Cleveland Browns, he noticed how many players were from the Louisiana area compared to the rest of the nation in comparison to per capita. And if you have NIL for a second-tier player, you can keep that homegrown talent here, because $1 at home goes a lot further if you go to Arkansas, Pine Bluff, or you go to an out-of-state school. And so, one of the things that is probably helpful with some of the Louisiana schools is keep the talent here, because a total NIL money will go further local if you stay local than you would if you go to another state, several hundred miles away.
Right. That's my concern. Yeah, that's my concern real quickly about the whole NIL thing. So, like you just said, the A&Ms of the world with the big endowments and the all the money and the corporate money, it's going to end up the larger states with the larger population are going to rise to the top. And so a smaller, you might have one state school per small state, right? Like a Louisiana with a small population, you might have LSU might be able to compete, but probably not at that level. You'll have 5 or 6 schools in Texas that can do it, 5 or 6 in New York, and maybe even in California. That maybe 8 or 10 schools in California with that kind of money, to where if there's no limit, they're just going to keep dumping it on. And so the Pete Rozelle parity concept from the NFL that made the NFL so great is not going to apply. And so it's just who can pay for the best players. That's the downside of it all that everybody's afraid of. And like you said, hopefully in the collective bargaining thing, maybe there'll be enough of smaller schools in terms of population in a state that can outvote the bigger schools and say, hey, wait a minute, we need to share the wealth and not allow others to be.
I think they're just going to leave. I mean, the bigger schools would probably just leave, and you'll have basically like now you'll have the primary college division, and you'll have like a college 1AA division, which Tulane may fall into. Tulane, ULL, Louisiana Tech, they may have their own division, but it won't be the big, it won't be the power division, lack of a better word. And so I think it's going to be different. It's going to be far different than it is in 10 years than it is now. I just know that. And it may be unrecognizable, in 10 years in comparison to what it's now. It's going to happen quick. And like you said, you see USC and UCLA, you're going to see a great migration to them because a lot of those players want to play in Hollywood. They'll have that Hollywood money. They'll have that, that California, mystique to it that, UCLA's been losing. I think they were $100 million in the red in their athletic program. Part of it is because it's California, and California doesn't know, the People's Republic of California. They have a different economic system over there. It's not just different. So it'll be different. But let me ask you this: how coaching players who have a transfer portal and NIL opportunities is a lot different now than when you used to coach players and then you had them for 4 years, and if they wanted to leave, they had to sit out a year or two. I mean, coaches have to change their approach now.
I got to tell you, I was never a big fan of the transfer portal. There were too many reasons for them to hop in and hop out. Actually, it was kind of like no reason or no restrictions to keep them there. And, and then you ended up with no real commitment to your school, right? I mean, so what happens is you have all of these alumni, and there's 100 years of tradition, especially in the SEC, where, you got an LSU shirt on right now, right? You're supporting that school, and you want the players that are playing on the field or on the court to bleed purple and gold like you do, and just support that school and love it and live and die by it, like Shaq did, right? I mean, how all the great things he always says about Coach Brown and LSU and being part of that campus college atmosphere. I think that's all going to go away. You're just nobody's going to have any allegiance to where they are. They're just going to be chasing the money. And so that's going to be another disappointment and downfall about college football that this whole NIL thing is creating. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. I think there needs to be some limits as to where players can play and not be able to just hop around because somebody's going to offer more money next year.
Yeah, I think it'll be a big change. One of the greatest things about the NFL is competitive balance. And basically, the competitive balance is the players have collectively bargained away their rights in order to allow antitrust. Because basically, NFL is if you're the worst team, you get the number one pick. If you're the worst team, you get the first crack on waivers for a player who's placed on waivers. So what's made the NFL great is in week 15, you have maybe 20, 22 teams that are still in the playoff hunt. So you have the engagement of 22 cities, and unless, you have engagement because now people are betting on them also legally. But you have that engagement. Right. So now you have that engagement, and college football may lose that at some point if they don't have some type of lack of a better word, antitrust, or something that violates an antitrust that's bargained away in order to keep competitive balance. And so that's to be seen. And it'll be college football will be, I won't say unrecognizable, but it'll be far different than the ones we grew up with, the way it is now. in the way it's going to be in 10 years. The other thing too, here's the bad part: 18-year-old kids cannot handle money. They just can't. I couldn't have handled $200,000 or $300,000. Heck, I might have been dead. I might have been. I would have done more stupid things than I did when I was 18.
Well, look, you just heard Rick Crozier. You know, they gave me $10 and I went to ATP. You know, right? So I mean, that was with $10. What are you going to do with 100,000? You know, and so how badly is that going to distract? You know, especially a lot of these inner city kids who've never had, you know, $100 in their pocket, and now all of a sudden they're going to come into all this money and not have any idea what that money means and how hard other people work to make that kind of money. It's just going to that's going to be another balance that the coach and the administration and everyone else is going to have to keep track of and monitor all these kids doing stupid things with too much disposable income. And that's just 18, 20-year-old boys. I mean, they can't handle that kind of money, especially if they've never had it or never come from that kind of money. So it's going to be interesting.
And you find out a lot of adults can't handle all that money.
Of course.
So you multiply it by 100 with 18-year-olds. All right, let's go to a break. We'll move on to something else. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyer, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
Is never completely out of it. Nick Costos, co-host of You Better You Bet.
All right, I have two callers on the phone. First is Leon from the North Shore, who has been on before with his car dealership problem. We have Kurt, K-U-R-T, from Months, and he has a problem with some storage loss that he has experienced. So that's Leon, the North Shore car dealership problem. We have Kurt from Months and a storage loss problem.
Customers can step up to the plate with a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up using the promo code ABEAR, place your first bet, and FanDuel will give who you like to try first $1 back and free bets if you don't win. What I love about betting on FanDuel is, look,
Doug, can you hear me?
Promotions every day. It's a safe and secure app.
You get paid fast.
Okay, we'll do Kurt.
To bet America's pastime in America's #1 sports book. Not number 2 or 3, but number 1. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Just use the promo code ABEAR. That's HEBERT to get started with your no sweat first bet up to $1,000. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of WWL Radio.
21 plus and present in Louisiana. Permitted parishes only. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 48 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem or wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. If you have Medicare, you deserve the best care and coverage available. But how do you know if your Medicare plan offers the quality you need? Check their Medicare star rating. The higher the stars, the better the quality. And People's Health has earned Medicare's highest rating, 5 out of 5 stars for 2022. Don't take my word for it. Take Medicare's. To learn,
it looks like about 7 minutes, a little less than that. A little over 6.5 minutes.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something. Oh, someone did. That's why I use Upside. Upside, what's that? It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of it. Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached? Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. Cash out of your Upside cash. Just transfer to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code HUGE for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code HUGE. Use code HUGE for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Now, more All Things Legal, underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinions shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Kurt. Got a question regarding storage loss. Hey, Kurt, you're on all things legal.
Good morning, guys. I live out in the flocks, and my house was wrecked like many other people out here, and so I had to contract a company to move it for my personal property, and in the agreement was that for items that were damaged and lost, they would reimburse 50 cents per pound, which I thought was not unreasonable. I moved before, I was expecting there to be a certain amount of damage to my property. But they returned about a month ago, and they came back minus about 25% of my property in volume and in value. And so I guess my question is there some kind of implied minimum performance threshold for companies like this? And if not, what options do I have available right now?
So many of those contracts have a provision in them that where you can purchase the additional insurance. And I don't know if you did that or not, or if it was just part of the original bill of lading to basically accept this percent for lost or damaged items. You know, and then you've got two separate issues here. You've got one where they've moved it. So that's, you know, the transportation laws call that into effect. But then you should have some rights under the storage and what's called bailment laws of Louisiana, where if, you know, you've placed your property in the possession of a bailee, the bailee has a duty to, you know, preserve that property for you. So, I mean, if 20-something% of it has gotten stolen or just they never returned it to you, you know, where is it? What did they do with it? And did their employees steal it? I mean, it was in their possession, right? So there could be some conversion arguments. There could be some bailment arguments. Again, you know, like anything else, you can sign away some of your rights depending on what you signed in the agreement. You know, a contract between two parties is the law between the parties. And the courts are reluctant to change that just because somebody might have made a bad deal. So, you know, I think somebody would have to really look at the contract, look at both contracts, one for the shipment, the other one for the storage, to see what you know, and how much are we talking about? What are we dollars?
In the range of $30,000 that was not returned. But included in that is also, you know, videos of my children's births, a lot of pictures and their artwork, things that were a great sentimental value. And it's a great deal of emotional trauma.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you file a claim in St. Charles Parish, I got to think that people are going to be very sympathetic to the whole story from Ida all the way to this. And so, you know, if there's a way for a court to rule in your favor, I think they will. But again, it's going to depend a lot on what the contract said. So you really need to have that looked at, and you know, perhaps proceed forward with that.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for the call. Let's go. We got about a minute. Let's go to Leon. Leon, what do you have for us? We got about a minute or two before the break, news break. What you got for us, brother?
Okay, thanks for taking the call. I bought a car a new car before. I was just thinking about it the other day. I went down to the dealership with my son, okay, to get him a car and co-sign for him, and they come out and told me I could co-sign because I was drinking. Well, then when I went and bought this other car, they had no problem with me out when I was drunk. Do I have any ways to get them do this contract with this car? Because It was supposed to be brand new, and I'm paying the same thing for a brand new one, and I got a 2-year-old car with 50,000 miles on it.
All right. Well, do you want life advice or legal advice? My life advice is
legal advice.
All right. Well, my life advice is conduct car transactions sober. My legal advice is a dealership doesn't have to contract with someone they feel is impaired. Is that what you're asking? I mean, if someone feels, because it's for self-preservation, because if you enter into a contract who you know is impaired, that person can come back and say that they didn't have the cognitive capacity and enter into that contract because they were impaired. So therefore, they were exercising discretion and caution and not entering into that contract. Now, whether they want to do that in the future is pretty much a decision on their part. Maybe based on their history. Made a prior transaction. So, Leon, I have to give you life advice on this one. Don't drink and buy a car at the same time. Just like you shouldn't drink and drive. Gotcha. All right. Well, I think you probably knew that already. We'll see you in the second hour.
New Orleans, WWL.
Is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Stacy Lynn in Washington. Later today, families of the victims of the Uvalde school shooting will get to view the entire surveillance video from inside the school during the massacre. CBS's Alex Gaynor reports.
Basic law enforcement 101 is that you go to the threat.
Surveillance video shows officers waited 77 minutes before moving to take the suspect out. The head of the Texas Department of Public Safety faulted Uvalde Schools Police Chief Pete Arredondo for what he called an abject failure by law enforcement. Arredondo has denied ordering anyone to stand down, telling a reporter he never considered himself to be the incident commander.
An edited version of the video was already released. It is scorching in parts of the country right now, and will continue.
How is the heat in Texas?
It has been in the triple digits for weeks now.
League City, Texas resident Trish Johnson with a little relief in sight.
Power grid, it's on the news almost every day. Like, are we going to make it? Are we not going to make it? Do we have to do rolling blackouts again?
And you know where else it is really hot? CBS News.
Also in the UK, where they're dealing with record high temps, it could get as high as 104 degrees tomorrow and Tuesday. Katie White with wildlife advocacy group WWL.
Climate change is making extreme weather events such as heat waves and wildfires and droughts so more frequent and more intense, harming people, but also harming nature. And we need to make sure that we're listening to those warning signs and acting now.
Look out for BA5. The COVID subvariant is the most dominant strain right now, and our Dr. David Akes says
it is so infectious. It's on par with the most infectious virus humans have ever seen. And what that means is small numbers of virus particles will actually get somebody else sick. So before you needed, say, 1,000 particles, now it's 100 particles. So you have to use caution with BA5. It's a new era. Really, as it's peaking over the next several weeks, we all have to watch out wherever we are.
If you have a mental health emergency, there's now a new number to call, 988.
Call takers, the Rocky Mountain Crisis Center are expecting their phones will be busier than ever.
It's all hands on deck.
CEO Ben Marquez says the switch will make the nation's hotline easy to remember and ideally more accessible.
We think people will call it instead of perhaps 911
KNCS TV reporter Karen Murphy. This is CBS News.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Visit libertymutual.com to learn more.
Guys, stop putting your love life on hold. U.S. Pharmacy has some exciting news. If you've been wanting to try Viagra or Cialis, now's the perfect time. Call today and receive 90 little blue or little yellow pills for only $119 with free shipping. Why order some low-dose sildenafil from one of those subscription services when we can give you what you want now? Call 800-711-6818 and we'll rush your order discreetly packaged to your door. 800-711-6818.
If you're like me and suffer from toenail fungus, please pay close attention. Nail fungus isn't just a cosmetic problem. It can also be dangerous. But no matter what I tried, it seemed like my fungus would never go away. Then I discovered Crystal Flush, the new FDA-registered at-home treatment. This unique two-step system flushes out fungus at its source and reverses damaged nails. Call now. For a limited time, you can try Crystal Flush risk-free for 30 days. Call 800-764-9219. That's 800-764-9219.
WWL First News. I'm Dave Cohen on your official weather station, WWL.
The sky for a few showers and storms as we go through today. About a 30% chance through the afternoon hours. And if you do get some rain, it'll be heavy. There'll be lots of lightning and thunder. And like yesterday, could produce some strong wind gusts. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Temperature-wise, staying hot. We'll get up to about 92, feeling like around 100.
Your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist Peyton Malone. Crews shut down the I-10 overnight for construction work from Metairie into New Orleans, starting at Causeway Boulevard and ending at the I-610. DOTD says all the repairs are scheduled to wrap up at 10 a.m. Veterans and airline are the best alternate routes in the meantime. A state trooper shot at a suspect Saturday night in New Orleans. Cops responded to reports of reckless driving at Chef Highway and Downman Road. State police say as troopers approached the vehicle on foot, the driver attempted to flee the scene and accelerated toward the troopers. This resulted, they say, in one of the troopers discharging his service weapon. The gunfire did not hit anyone, and police arrested the suspect. The city recently passed tougher laws against reckless driving and performing vehicle stunts like donuts and burnouts. 2 big cases in Louisiana courtrooms are set to get underway tomorrow. A Baton Rouge judge will hear the challenge to the state's abortion ban that went into effect after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned the landmark abortion decision of Roe v. Wade. WWL TV's Mike McDaniel tells us New Orleans DA Jason Williams will also be in a courtroom.
But not as a prosecutor. He's set to begin his trial for federal tax fraud allegations. Williams is accused of manipulating tax returns for his benefit while he was on the city council. Williams and his business partner, who is also facing charges, say they are innocent and blame a tax preparer for the issue.
President Biden has wrapped up a Middle East trip that included a visit with the Saudi Arabian government to try and get more Arab oil production to meet world demand and drive down prices.
Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy says a much simpler answer is for the White House to stop hindering domestic oil and gas production.
I'm told there's 4 wells that could be drilled completed within 12 months. And I was told that 6 months ago in the Gulf of Mexico. Not only is that producing North American energy and gas, it's creating Louisiana jobs.
The Biden administration has placed restrictions on fossil fuel development in the United States as a way to combat climate change.
WWL's Jeff Palermo.
Okay, I have one caller just called in, Lester from Covington, and his question is about insurance. Lester from Covington, question about insurance.
Jeff Nowak says we'll know soon if first-round pick Trevor Penning will be the guy at left tackle.
That's an actual starting position that there is a serious question of who it's going to be. I still think it's going to, I think Trevor Penning is kind of fighting uphill. I think he's behind right now, and he'll have to show a lot.
Plus, will Alontae Taylor be the one to fill that second cornerback spot?
Who starts at cornerback across from Marshawn Lattimore? Because I think kind of going back to last year, and you're looking at,
Rookies report to camp on Tuesday, veterans next week. And the Pelicans wrap up Summer League later tonight. The injury bug grabbed the Pels to start the season, but managed to keep a 500 record. They'll tip off against Oklahoma City in Sin City at 5 o'clock. Sean Ross, WWL Sports.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast on WWL.
Wrapping up the weekend here on your Sunday, it is going to be a hot day with highs in the low 90s. Some of you might even get up to the mid 90s. And when you factor in that humidity, it'll feel closer to 100. Now, the rain chances, they're not a guarantee, and it's not a slam dunk forecast, but there'll be some pop-up storms this afternoon with about a 30 to 40% chance. And any of those could produce some heavy rain, lots of lightning and thunder, and even some strong wind gusts. We did see some of that yesterday. As we go into the upcoming work week, much of the same. It's actually, though, going to get a little bit hotter Monday through Friday. We'll say 93 to 95 will be our range of temperatures. And still about a 30 to 40% chance of some afternoon showers and thunderstorms. So each day, just classic summertime weather on the Gulf Coast. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Peyton Malone.
And I'm Dave
I'm sorry.
Cohen.
Who's on the
WWL
phone?
First News.
From WWL,
Lester.
the News Talks
Covington.
Powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's all things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870, or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, we're back for hour number 2. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers on WWL, AM, FM, Odyssey.com. We're on till 10 o'clock. We're on every Sunday. Give us a call, 260-1870, or text us in a Oakland Hard Talk and Text on, which we're going to get to. Albert, we were talking about some other things. Last week we talked about crime. We talked about NIL last hour. We're giving people a break from the hurricane talk, but the break is now over. So we got Lester on the phone. Lester from Covington. Lester has a Hurricane Ida question. Hey, Lester, you on All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm sorry to break your break. I have kind of a quickie. Southern Fidelity.
Yeah.
I have a fourplex. I just paid my premium in like May. And then in June, they announced that they were going bankrupt. Am I going to see any of the unused premium?
I think your policy stays in effect, and it's probably going to. I think it's guaranteed still by LIGA now. In other words, for the rest of the policy period, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they terminated the policy per se. I think it was assumed by LIGA until the policy period is completed. Now, when the policy period is completed, you'll have to get some other insurance. But that's my understanding.
Well, I may have put too much salt in the soup because what I did, I bought other insurance a couple of days ago.
Well, then, I don't.
Yeah, I think LIGA kicks in. I think LIGA just kicks in to guarantee payment of claims. It's a guarantee association to payment of claims. You've got to go back. You've got to find other coverage. And I've had this question. 2 or 3 people have called me with that question. The best person to probably answer that is your insurance agent, because that's like, who you wrote the policy or wrote the check to for the policy. And so I would check with the agent and find out where that return of premium is, and if you can, who do you need to write to get it back?
Right.
Because I mean, they'll prorate it, and there's some fees that are, that are guaranteed that you'll lose, but you should get a substantial portion of it back.
You see, yeah.
Good. That's good.
Okay, because I would check in though, because I think with LIGA they would. Well, maybe not. That was Louisiana Citizens. You're right. Yeah. Your agent.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. So obviously I don't know.
All right, wait. Can I ask you an unrelated question?
Yes.
Salvador Sunseri.
Yes.
Sacred Heart Grammar School, 1960.
I will say this: that when my great grandfather fled Sicily. He had 8 brothers, and they were back and forth. They'd come here, and then they would go back, and they had a wife waiting for them back in Sicily. They'd go back to Sicily, get the wife, and bring them back here. So they had 8 brothers, and they have been dispersed throughout South Louisiana, doing philanthropic type things such as loan sharking, extortion. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So no, so it could be. There's a lot of them. In fact, the oyster, Al Sunseri, who's he's on the board. I'm gonna say the oyster board, but the board for with the state of Louisiana, we found out that we're distantly related. So yeah, I'm sure we are, and so, but not close.
Right, but he was a good guy.
Yeah.
So thank you for your help.
All right, thanks much. Well,
got Jay on the phone.
Let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Jay. He's got a question. Hey, Jay, you know all things legal.
Yeah, bear with me. I'm having some static on my end. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you good, brother.
Yeah, we.
Okay, it's kind of hard for me to hear you. I don't know. Should I call back?
Just hit us with your question. We can hear you.
Okay. The question is, my mother-in-law passed about a month ago, and she was on Medicaid. She died with a will. The father passed without a will, and the property, the estate is about roughly, round numbers, let's say about $300,000. There are no other assets, no antiques, no jewelry, anything like that. And I'm wondering about the Medicaid reimbursement. I've heard that Medicaid would take her half of the inheritance, whereas in the will she leaves it to the children.
No,
is that necessarily how it works?
Well, basically, Medicaid has the opportunity to file a lien against your mother's portion of the house. So when I'm assuming your mom and dad bought it while they were married, right? The house.
Yeah, right.
So when your dad died,
In-laws, yeah, in-laws.
or is in-laws? Okay, so your in-laws, father-in-law, and your outlaws.
In-laws, yeah, that's okay. Go ahead.
Outlaws
yeah,
or in-laws. It depends on how it goes. I got in-laws. Some people have outlaws.
No, it's all good.
All good. But the husband's portion is his, and it goes to whoever the wife might have had a usufruct over it, but it goes to the children basically. Now Medicaid could file a lien against the mother's portion, but the lien cannot be more than 37.5% of the average assessed value of property residence in that particular parish. So they could theoretically file
37.5%?
Yes, but they theoretically could file a lien, but it is limited. Is the short version. Now, now a lot of times government inefficiency works both ways. And, I mean, Medicaid's supposed to file the lien. You're supposed to wait a period of time. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Just because of bureaucratic inefficiency. So you usually have to keep the success, you keep it open, or a contingency for that particular possibility. And, you await the lien. But it doesn't always get filed.
Okay, and that's part of my question. The property has some title issues, so it's going to be a lengthy period probably to get it to sale. Does the family have an obligation to notify Medicaid in any way during the process?
They have an obligation to allow them to file a lien or to acknowledge as a possibility, but you don't have an obligation to get on the phone and let them know to do their job. Now, let me ask you this about hardship. Who's living in the house right now?
Well, there are 4 siblings and one is living in the house right now.
Okay. Now there's certain exceptions where you can, if Medicaid does file a lien, you could ask for a waiver if there's if that person has a disability, or if their earnings are within a certain percentage of the federal poverty level. I think it's I don't somewhere in the $30,000 range. Then sometimes you could ask for a waiver from Medicaid if they file a lien.
Okay. Could Medicaid, if the title issues get resolved and the house goes through sale, can Medicaid come back on the siblings?
There is a time period that they could. There is.
And what do you think the value of the house is?
I'm sorry, say that again?
What's the value of the house?
What do you think the house is?
Let's see. The rough number is about $300,000.
Maybe you wouldn't want to reserve some money back.
Yeah, because you're looking at $150,000 would be your father-in-law's portion, right? So the Medicare touch, and then if you're looking at, a percentage of the other 150, you need to put a certain amount aside. What parish are you in?
It's Orleans.
In Orleans Parish, okay. Yeah, so I mean the prices of the assessment, I guess there's probably a way to figure out what that assessment is. I'm sure there's some statistics that show that if you look at the 37%. Again, and Doug, what do you think? It would be half, 50% of that, since she only had a 50% interest in it?
Yeah, it would be. It could not be a certain. It would take the assessed value, 37.5% of the average assessed value in Orleans Parish, which would not know. That's what I would set aside. Yeah. And then, also explore based on the living arrangements at the time. Well, y'all would have sold the house, so you don't have that. You don't have the waiver.
Yeah.
So, and just hold it back. And after a period of time, I would consult with your attorney who's handling your estate. That's an appropriate time to hold it back. And then after that time period passes, I would be able to disperse it. Now, this is sort of a interesting issue because, like Sean Payton says, do your job. That's what Medicaid's supposed to do, is do its job. So the question is, if the Medicaid reimbursement people don't do their job, much like many bureaucratic type of situations, what do you do? And that's sort of a question that you have to answer with your attorney as to what would be the appropriate thing to do.
There was one part, I don't want to hold you any longer, but I couldn't quite hear you because of my static.
Sure.
Could Medicaid come back on the siblings after closing?
Yes, they could theoretically. Theoretically, they could. Have I seen them do it?
Okay.
No. And when I've seen the situation, and I'm just speaking from experience, okay? I'm not advocating anybody to do anything. I'm just saying this from experience.
Sure.
So let me preface that. But I've seen in situations like this that Medicaid had the opportunity to do it, but they didn't because of bureaucratic inefficiency. In other words, and I will tell you, maybe on the other side, what I learned about bureaucratic inefficiency as a law student at the Loyola Law Clinic. And I'll draw an analogy, but basically the caseworkers had said it would take too much work to chase down the heirs. So even though in theory we could do it, we're going to use our discretion not to.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this anecdotally. I'm not saying that's a policy. I'm not recommending you do that. I am just.
Oh no.
I'm just witnessing. Sure. I'm just telling you what I witnessed. Okay, nothing else. I'm not giving advice. Sure. Not giving opinions. I'm not doing any of that.
No.
So
understood.
That's all. So that's.
Is it worth coming in talking with you, Doug?
Sure. Or call us. I think you ought to. I think it would be very wise to talk to an attorney about all that. You could give Albert our call at 504-837-1304, and one of us would be glad to talk to you.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks. Let's go to a break. Again, I'm not advocating any of that. I'm just telling you sometimes how bureaucracy works. We'll be Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
When you listen to Scoot, you're listening to rock and roll history.
Today in 1970 was on this day in 1998. I'll never forget the way I felt the morning.
Scoot's rock culture calendar has everything you remember.
Any callers?
Are clear right now. We have no callers.
Personal tragedies. He covers it all.
I remember playing this record on the air for the first time and knowing it was going to be a huge hit.
It's a perspective on the history of rock you can't get anywhere else from someone who's lived it.
Honestly, I'm lucky to be alive.
Scoot on the air. Weekdays 1 to 4 on WWL.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to get conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you'll be speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Want the news without the noise? News Nation is news for all America, reporting all sides, no spin, and no agendas. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us to find News Nation on your television provider.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 475-2323. LA 121 12674. Offices in Baton Rouge. Call 475-2323. If you or a loved one are suffering from addiction, listen to Springfield Wellness Center's founder, Paula Norris Metier.
I love to see the metamorphosis. There's so
many we'll be going live right after this one.
Affirmations that we get from the people that we've treated that make it work.
I still have no one on the holding at all.
Well, that's got to be
phones are free.
But that's okay because we get to see the miracles. I do have a strong belief that no one comes here by accident, and everybody has their own little story of how they get here. And that if they will trust just enough to let us get at least 4 or 5 days of the IV into their system, their life will change dramatically for the better.
Put your addiction behind you. Call Springfield Wellness Center, 504-291-4000.
Just call us. That's all. And we'll be waiting for you.
504-291-4000. 291-4000. Springfield Wellness Center.
All things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud on WWL and Odyssey Station. Connect now on the Oakland Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. I just want to tell you.
Real quick, I'm going to follow up.
Yeah.
I want to follow up to that question. It might save him some time. Just if he came in and everything is what I think it is in terms of it being a Medicaid lien and not a Medicare lien. Medicaid has 1 year from the date of death,
right,
to 5/15. So if he goes ahead and open succession, handles all of the issues with the title and everything else that need to be handled, then they don't file their lien within that year, then they're good to go. Secondly, if they can settle the estate prior to a year and want to go ahead and get that property sold, let's say before interest rates get really crazy, they can go ahead and do that. What I would do is put 25% of the sales price away into an interest-bearing account and just as a holdback and wait the year period. And after that, give it a couple of weeks and then go ahead and file. Go ahead and distribute the money after a year, and then you're good to roll.
And that's not unusual for for successions that may have a contingent liability that you don't know about. You might keep a reserve. Time period passes, and then when the time period passes, you disperse the reserve accordingly. When I was at Loyola Law Clinic under Judge Calvin Johnson 35 years ago, I had an incident that made a very big impression on me, and it formulated why I think the public sector is so much more efficient than the government section in the administration of goods and services.
Private sections, but
more efficient, right? Because when we're in law clinic, we would be assigned to represent individuals who didn't have money to hire an attorney for civil matters. So we had a lady who took 8 months of welfare benefits after she started working. She went to a pastor. She told the pastor that I'm taking 8 months of what should I do? The pastor told her to go back to the government and try to go pay it back. She felt bad about it. So she went back to the state agency, acknowledged she took it. She said, I want to have a payment plan to give it back. And then she gets charged with a felony theft of government benefits. Hence, I was assigned to defend her. And when I went to meet with the caseworker, I asked her, I said, why would you want to recommend felony charges against a lady who wants to make it right and has voluntarily come forward to state that she felt bad about taking these benefits and shouldn't have and wants to give it back? And the caseworker was very brazen in telling me that it takes less work to prosecute an offender who cooperates rather than an unrepentant offender who won't cooperate. And it is easier to make our quota by beating up on or prosecuting the offenders who cooperate. And so that was highly disturbing to me. And I've seen that trend in dealing with bureaucratic situations the following 35 years.
We know the process to send it to be prosecuted, then it's off of our desk. We don't know the process for people to voluntarily return it because that's a much less likely situation. And so, instead of me looking into that and trying to do the right thing for someone who's trying to return it, let's just send it to some prosecutor and then let that prosecutor, deal with it and make that decision, and it gets off of my desk. So you'll definitely see a lot of that
and you see that and you see that a lot of times. You wonder why the United States is $30 trillion in debt. You have government agencies who are not rewarded for saving money because at the end of the fiscal year, you have agencies saying we need to spend X amount of money because if we save money, then we'll have a less of appropriation for the following year, which is totally contrary to what private businesses do. Is they get rewarded for saving money and they reward their shareholders, and they reward the owners or the employees or whatever for being efficient and saving money, whereas the total opposite is true. So a lot of times, if you're wondering why money is being squandered, especially when you live in Orleans Parish, you wonder why money is being squandered, like probably no place besides maybe Chicago, is because of those dynamics and factors. And that's why when sometimes you have business type minds that go into politics, they run them out because they're trying to undo a system that's probably undoable at this point. But so that's just a little anecdote as to, and that sort of carries over into other areas. Let's see. I have a couple of texts. It's first of all, it says, this is for Albert. What happens if you don't get your repairs done before the next hurricane? How is that going to affect any particular claims in the future, and what problems does that pose?
Well, if you can't get your repairs done, if you've not been paid, you're still fighting with your insurance company. You had too big of a deductible and you really don't have the money to get it done. What you should do is go around and take lots and lots of pictures. Take a picture of the ceilings in each one of the rooms, take a picture of the exterior on all four sides, and if you can step back far enough and zoom in and get some photographs of the roof, so you'll have a real good idea of the condition of the home prior to the storm. And so if something should happen where, you get some water intrusion or whatever, you can show that, hey, look, here are my before and after pictures. These ceilings were destroyed. They only paid me to patch the roof. So we put, 2 squares of shingles or 1 square of shingles in, and it, here's the proof that we did that, but it didn't matter because, it needed to be replaced before, and had we replaced it before, we wouldn't have all these additional damages. But I would just take some before and afters to show that, hey, look, this is the condition of the home at this point, and if something should happen, God forbid, you'll at least have a baseline as to what the new damages might be, and it'll be easier for you to prove what damages occurred in this storm as opposed to Ida.
Okay, now the other question. My insurance company would not pay for a new roof. However, in order to renew my policy, the same insurance company is requiring me to get a new roof. What should I do?
I think you should sue that insurance company. I can tell you that I've spoken to some attorneys, and lately a lot of these companies have just been saying, look, we want to go ahead and pay for this new roof. We're not going to fight. We're fighting these, tens and 20s and 30s and $100,000 claims. We've got so many of them. We're not going to fight over a $7,000 or $8,000, $10,000 difference between the repair and replacement of the roof. So I think if you, bring that claim now, get an attorney to write that letter for you, make that demand. I had an adjuster call me this week and said, we're $21,000 apart. And they said, you know what, we're not going to fight it. We're not even going to go out and re-inspect. And this was actually LIGA. They came along and said, we're not going to re-inspect. We're not going to fight it. We're just going to go ahead and accept your estimate. Here you go. And so, it worked out very well. My client's getting a check next week. So I think with some of these smaller issues, we're taking those on. We're taking the big ones and taking the small ones. We want to help as many people in Louisiana as we can get back to the road to recovery. So bring them on. If it's a little $8,000-$10,000 claim, we'll file it for you, and see where it takes you.
All right, let's go to a break. Got some more insurance questions that are being text that we'll address on the other side. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
WWL.com has everything you're looking for in a trusted local news website. There's no paywall, no annoying pop-up ads. Just the information you need when you need
Still
it.
no
Check out our
callers.
in-depth coverage of
We're
big
clear.
local and national stories, plus the Gulf Coast best reporting on the Saints, LSU, and Pelicans. We've got your favorite talk personalities, too. Check out interviews, blogs, and hot takes. Plus, WWL.com works great on phones and tablets. No need to go to the
last spot in this set is one about podcasts. We'll go live after that.
Diamonds Direct is celebrating your golden moments with a spectacular summer store-wide sale this Friday through Sunday. 3 days of extra saving, 20% off Diamonds Direct's already unbeatable prices on a multi-million-dollar selection of rings, earrings, bands, bracelets. Virtually everything's on sale. Plus, top jewelry designers are here with all new collections. It's the buying opportunity of the season. Extra savings store-wide this Friday through Sunday only, and only at Diamonds Direct. Details and more at diamondsdirect.com.
Are you a business owner doing your own bookkeeping? Why? It makes no sense, literally. Focus on what you do well, like growing your business, and let Accounting Services Unlimited handle your bookkeeping. Hi, this is Thomas Fontes. Accounting Services Unlimited is insanely affordable and will come to you. Call for a free quote. Accounting Services Unlimited, 504-717-6253. That's 717-6253. Or visit us at asu-llc.com.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, helped me pay for my house.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something. Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside. Upside? What's that? It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code HUGE for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code HUGE. Use code HUGE for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Discover your next favorite podcast with the Odyssey app. From Who Done It to How to Do It, we have the biggest podcast for your favorite genre. True crime, history, entertainment, and more. Getting ready for the midterm elections? No matter what aisle you lean towards, we have the podcast for you. From CNN to Fox News to exclusive podcasts from your local station. Find your next binge on the Odyssey app.
All things legal on WWL. Consult with Nicaud and Sunseri now on the Oakland Heart Jewelers talk and text line 504-260-1870. And don't forget to rewind on the Odyssey app.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. I got a couple of more texts from regarding Hurricane Ida issues. First of all, LIGA, Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association. It's the association that assumes the liabilities for the insurance companies that are in receivership, Southern Fidelity, America's Insurance Company, on down the line. Albert, does LIGA have a maximum amount it will pay when it assumes a claim?
I'm pretty sure it's a $250,000 amount. But I'll double check that. It may be 500, but I'm pretty sure it's 250. Let me. I can look that up really quickly.
Yeah. And now also too, if you could speak on the fact that you lose your claims for penalties and attorney's fees that you would have against your insurance company if they take a while in paying that particular claim.
Well, yeah, that's part of the trade-off, right? So we're going to give you this coverage that, of course, you've been paying for it. As every time you pay a premium to the what's called an admitted company, an admitted insurance company. They're admitted into the program for the Guarantee Association, and so if they do go into liquidation, then it's sort of like reinsurance with the Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association. But one of the trade-offs is that you lose your claim for bad faith. And, again, we can get into that. They've got 30 days from satisfactory proof of loss to pay the undisputed portion of a claim. And if they don't, then they would be liable for 50% of the damages plus attorney's fees for their arbitrary and capricious failure to make those payments. So, and then there's another statute that talks about a 60-day period, but that has nothing to do with the damages you sustained in the loss. It's a 2 times the damage you sustained as a result of the breach. So, for instance, if I had to live in an apartment for another 8 months because they wouldn't pay me, and my additional living expenses may have run out, I've incurred maybe another, $20,000. You can make a claim for an additional that $20,000 plus 2 times those damages, so that could turn into a $60,000 loss for your loss of use claim. So there are penalties associated with non-payment and timely payment, but those go away once LIGA takes over. So anyway, that's part of the trade-off.
Next question. I employed a public adjuster to file my claim, period. Have not gotten received any additional money, what can I do next?
The next step is the only step, is to hire an attorney. Public adjusters can't file suit. Many of these companies are out-of-state carpetbagger type companies that are swooping in to, get what they can get and go away. Good luck a year or so from now if you filed a lawsuit and you've got to prosecute it, trying to get a hold of that adjuster, get that adjuster back in town. They're referring you to out-of-state attorneys, typically Florida and Texas. Many of the attorneys you hear advertising on television and the radio or from Florida and Texas. They're not local attorneys. And so, once that well runs dry where they can't get you any more money, then they have no enforcement mechanism. They can't file a lawsuit as a public adjuster. And so I kind of had it out a little bit with a public adjuster recently who, claims that they still represent my client. I'm like, no, first of all, let's make this very clear. I represent my client. You performed a damage assessment. So you don't represent them. Cut off any communication with the insurance company. I'll deal with it from here. So anyway, that's the you got nothing else.
And
Get a lawyer to file suit.
I'm going to ask you an obvious question, but I still think it needs to be answered. Most of the public adjusters from Florida and Texas are bringing in Texas and Florida, or they are recommending Texas law firms or Florida law firms. What is the disadvantage of having an out-of-state law firm prosecute your insurance claim, and why is that not a good idea?
Well, there are a number of disadvantages. If you and I went to go practice in Texas, and got admitted what's called pro hoc vice, we would be very unfamiliar with the local rules. We'd be very unfamiliar with the courts, the clerks, everything having to do with having practiced litigation for the last 35 years, right, that we've done here in the greater New Orleans area, across the southern part of the state, and in federal courts. And so that's, I think, a disadvantage. It'd be hard pressed to convince me otherwise. The second disadvantage is in their contracts. Actually, I've seen some of the contracts. They're 35% contingency fee contracts, which the public adjuster's already taken 10%. So if you go that route, you're going to now be 45% of your damages in, plus costs. When if you look at the costs, and I got to fly in from Galveston, Texas, and stay downtown and try a case in federal court, or even take depositions or sit for a deposition. All of those court costs are going to, all of those lawyers' costs are going to be assessed against your recovery. And again, this is a property damage claim. This isn't some subjective personal injury claim where you have a certain amount of pain and suffering damages where they can recover some of those damages or some of those fees from that number. This is a hard personal injury cost, and so a hard property damage cost. And so if you're going to lose 45% of it plus cost right off the get-go, that's a big number. And so I really think that at this point you need to hire a local attorney that can get this done for you. And I'd stay away from the lawyers from out of state.
Yeah, and there's plenty really good local attorneys who do a great job for you. Also, recently there was a ruling in Baton Rouge stating that Commissioner Donnellan's administrative order to pay additional living expenses was struck down. Can you tell the audience, what's the effect of that ruling? And it doesn't necessarily preclude you from filing for additional living expenses still, or disputing that.
Well, again, the problem you're running into is, for the most part, many of these insurance companies have already paid that. Yeah. That was an easy submission that many people submitted that to the ones that agreed to go ahead and pay it, and those companies went ahead and paid it, within weeks or months after those damages were submitted. So at this point, I'm not sure how many really additional living expense claims there are out there. What you might have, though, and this has to do with the damages, if you have to move out while they're renovating your home and move into an apartment or move somewhere else, then you can make a claim for those additional living expenses, because that has nothing to do with evacuation. That has to do with you're moving out of the property and having to incur expenses related to the renovations. So that claim would still certainly be viable, but not the evacuation expenses, because it's not considered nobody had the wherewithal to call an emergency in a mandatory evacuation.
Now it still doesn't preclude you from asserting it. In other words, it's not saying that ruling doesn't say it doesn't apply. It just says that Commissioner Donlin cannot make that administrative edict ordering the insurance companies to pay. So, under the language, I think what we have asserted is that, especially in Jefferson Parish, Orleans Parish, that it was a de facto evacuation, because basically the parish leaders or the mayor would say, leave if you can, and then after you left, they say, don't come back. Give us some time to get the parish together, electrical put on, and there were communications instructing or recommending that residents not do that. And the question was, does that in fact a de facto evacuation order? And I'm sure that issue is going to be probably adjudicated at some point in the future.
Just to follow up too on the maximum amount under a LIGA claim, it used to be 150. It's now 300.
There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. Covered a lot of ground there. There's a bunch of students who are taking their bar exam next week. They would do well to listen to this show. Probably a lot better than their Barbary review. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
We're not talking security devices or con laws.
No, we didn't. We're not. No, we talked a little bit of NIL. That might help with antitrust. So, all right, let's go to a break. Right. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
WWL is proudly sponsored by Dudley DeBosier Injury Lawyers. Call 504-444-4444. Non-attorney spokesperson, Chad Dudley, New Orleans.
Bobby Hebert, KJ Cannon here. Look, this baseball season turned K's into cash and big hits into big wins with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up using the promo code ABEAR.
Last spot is about the news service, and we'll go live.
$1,000 back in free bets if you don't win.
Well, we are going to have in the neighborhood of 5 minutes till the top of the hour, end of the show.
And you get paid fast. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than America's #1 sportsbook. Not number 2 or 3, but #1. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Just use the promo code ABEAR. That's HEBERT to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of WWL Radio.
21 plus and present in Louisiana. Permitted parishes only. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Join John Hagenson of Creative Planning for Rethink Your Money every Saturday at 8 a.m. to make sure you're not overlooking anything in your retirement plan. That's Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson of Creative Planning. Saturday morning at 8. Creative Planning is a registered investment advisory firm.
Hey, slide down. We want your stuff. DependableStorage.com.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish, so we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to get conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you'll be speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Want the news without the noise?
Here we go.
News Nation is news for all America, reporting all sides, no spin, and no agendas. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us to find News Nation on your television provider. All things legal on WWL, AMFM.com, and the Odyssey app. Connect with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
We're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers. All right, Albert, I'm going to throw you a curveball. And I'm going to do this. One of our girls taking the bar exam starts, I think, a week from Monday. And, you know, a lot of our listeners, WWL, the demographics between, 40, 50, 60-year-old, and they have children and grandchildren who are interested in maybe becoming a lawyer. Maybe after listening to you for years and years, they've listened to you and say, I want to be Mr. Albert. But,
yeah, well.
Oh, well. So
there are aspirations out there, fans. So but anyway.
Maybe they want to make, they want to be, like make money like you do and be rich and, and a lot of influence. But, okay, let me ask you a question, though. If you're in college and you want to be a lawyer, what courses would you take to help you prepare to be a lawyer?
That's the beauty about law is that you can take an engineering degree and get an engineering degree, and you can get a medical degree. You can get all different types of degrees and still, still go to law school, still be you don't have to take a political science curriculum. Honestly, I do recommend that everybody, whether they want to go to law school or otherwise, take a 1-year basic accounting courses. You want to know, listen, if you don't realize you may or may not be the guy or gal in charge of your office, but if you are, you want to be able to read a balance sheet and read an accounting sheet, a profit loss statement. You have to understand that the practice of law is also a business. You and I can be the greatest lawyers in town, but if we're not good businessmen and we don't know how to handle and manage an office and look at the profit and loss statement, see where we need to cut expenses, and see where we need to, perhaps pay our employees more here or do certain, hey, look, we're paying too much for this. Let's see if we can get this better and operate it like a business, and how to market it, how to get it, get your name out there and let people know who you are and what you do. Without all of those skills, I think that you're not going to be a complete lawyer. And again, even if you do some type of litigation where there are financial aspects of a case, you want to be able to look at, the daily ledgers and the financial balance sheets and the profit and loss statements and all those sorts of other things and see, follow along when the expert's testifying regarding those things. But even if you become a plumber, electrician, you have your own business, you want to be able to look at those things and say, gee whiz, we're paying way too much in healthcare benefits. We might need to shop it. We might need to, tweak it a little bit. And so those are the kinds of things you can look at year to year in an accounting class. I can't say enough about it. Honestly, one thing, I know these kids type with their thumbs all day long. would take a typing class. Even if you audit one, you take one online. You know, it might be a week long or 2 weeks long class. Everything we do now is by email. And many of the associates that we hired, the younger ones especially, prepare their own pleadings. And so there's a lot of typing going on, and you know, the faster and more correctly you can type, more accurately you can type, the more efficient you're going to be, and the more time you're going to have, you know, to spend with your family or to work on other files or do other things that you need to get done. So those are just, you know, little non-legal recommendations that will help you in life. I mean, fortunately, I did at St. Paul's. We all took typing, and you know, I'm able actually to type at a pretty decent clip, which I never thought I would need. But you know, once all this internet stuff and emails and everything else, we type so many emails every day that it really it's made a difference. You know, just two slight all recommendations: accounting and type.
Yeah, and I would focus too on English. Just it's a lot of younger associates speak text in their briefs, and you want to, you know, do proper English, which is becoming a lost art. And the last thing too is I
graded bar exams for 10 years. I stopped doing them, but I've graded them. And more recently, the students would spell the word enough, E-N-U-F, and they would, you know, just literally type their bar exam in the colloquial manner in which they would text.
All right.
And I would slam them for that, if, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
No, and we'll see you next week on All Things Legal. Albert will be solo. I will be away. So y'all have a wonderful week on All Things, and see you next week on All Things Legal.